Adventures to Caribbean Cowboys Treasures and Adventures CCTA. It's Gator Bait coming at you. We're going to go over the items that are necessary for metal detecting in a residential neighborhood. And there's a lot of different items here, so I want to make sure that when you guys go out on your adventures and you're looking for treasures and you're metal detecting in a neighborhood, and make sure you get permission. So that's the first thing. Make sure you get permission from any homeowner, and you're going to want to make sure that you have all of the items so that you're not going back to your house and running back and forth. So I'm going to go over all of the items in detail, and we're going to have a good time. Alright, let's start with the most important. Of course, you have to have your metal detector. The metal detector that I use primarily is a Minelab Equinox 800. I find that this is a very good metal detector. It's high quality. It's my workhorse. I use this thing at the beach, in neighborhoods. I use it all over the place, and it's just perfect. You'll notice though, on my Minelab Equinox here, I have a very small coil, and that's because this morning I actually went out metal detecting, and it was kind of a trashy area in front of this house, so I wanted to be able to pinpoint good items from all of the trashy ones, like the pop tops and the nails and the screws and things like that. This is a 6-inch Pinpointer, sharpshooter, sniper. A lot of people will call them different names. I think the most popular is a sniper coil, and this does come as an accessory, an additional coil for the Minelab. It is 6 inches circular, and make sure that you have your metal detector fully charged. This uses lithium charge into an outlet, so before I leave, I always charge it up. You don't want to get out there and then find out you're on your last bar. Then of course, then you have to waste time, run back to your house, and if you're a long way from your house, it's going to be a problem. So this one uses rechargeable batteries, lithium ion. Now on that same note, what we have here is a larger coil. This is the coil that comes with the Equinox 800. So if you buy it out of the box, you're gonna get this 11-inch coil. This one is very good. You're gonna cover a lot of ground with this, obviously more than the sniper coil, but when you're in a trashy area, start with the smaller one and then I will use the bigger one. You're gonna get more depth with the 11-inch coil than you will with the 6-inch. But again, if you're in a trashy area, it can be good sometimes because a lot of metal detectorists are gonna hide or they're gonna run away from that. There's too much work. That's when you come in and you start picking out those nice coins, maybe find some gold, some silver, but you gotta use the sniper coil. But I always bring my 11-inch one just in case. So, what else? Let's talk about clothing, attire. You're gonna get dirty, okay? You're definitely gonna get dirty. Try to go out when it's dry, when the grass and the dirt is dry. It's gonna make it even worse when it's wet and muddy, so I try to give it at least a day or two after a big rainstorm before I'm going to go out and detect. Use a pair of old shoes. Don't use your $150, $200 brand new Nikes or whatever. They're going to get dirty, so try to find a pair that it's not your favorite. You don't mind them getting a little scuffed up because you're going to get dirt and mud, and bending down and up is going to put a lot of wear and tear on the soles. So these are my metal detecting shoes. I go through them a lot faster than my daily ones. Also, make sure if you're in it's a hot day, you're going to want to wear shorts, shirt that's not your favorite shirt, of course, and a belt. The reason why I say you want to wear a belt is because you'll notice right here I have a pinpointer. This is what a lot of people in the metal detecting field call the Garrett Carrot. This is a Garrett brand. It's a pinpointer. It makes finding your targets a lot quicker and a lot easier once you've found them with your metal detector. Then you're going to break out your pinpointer, turn it on, and you're going to be able to get real close to the object and pull it out of the plug quicker, so that you're not continually shoveling dirt or sand or mud and then running the detector over it because it covers a broader area. This is your pinpointer. I do like the Garrett Carrot. It does run off of a 9-volt battery, so make sure that you have extra batteries in your bag, because if this runs out, then you're going to be stuck. So, and then you have your holster right here. So that's why I say wear a belt, so that you can have it in your holster. If you decide to put it in your pocket and you don't have a belt to hold the holster, when you bend down and up, you may find that this falls out, and then you're going to be running around looking for your pinpointer. These are about $100, $150, and you don't want to lose that. So got it right here in my holster. I got a belt that's not my favorite belt. It's a worn belt, so it's okay if it gets dirty. And next up, we're going to talk about your digging devices. So for our digging devices, the first one is going to be a handheld digger right here. Now, I'm tall, I'm 6'3", and constantly standing up and bending down gets really bad on my back. And you're going to notice if you get into this hobby a lot, it's going to put a lot of strain on your lower back especially. And I tend to kneel when I go down to look for a target on my right knee. So by doing that, I'm tilting my pelvis and giving myself some additional back problems that I don't need to. So if you want, you can just use a handheld, but I prefer to use a longer spade with a long handle so that I can dig. So I can dig down and I'm not constantly bending over and standing up. I can at least cut out my plug while I'm standing up, and then just kneel down to flip it over, find the target, flip the plug back, stand up and move on for the next target. But that is detectorist choice, so to speak. Next up are your gloves. For those of you, if you have long fingernails or you just don't want to dirty your hands, you're not getting manicures every week, then you're going to want to wear gloves. I have these 100% polyester gloves, couple bucks at a hardware store, real easy, and I buy 2 or 3 pairs just so I have backup again. It's really good when you're going metal detecting to have backups for everything. Backup batteries, backup gloves, maybe backup spade if you have more than one metal detector, even a backup metal detector, because sometimes you never know. Sometimes they are a little bit faulty or moody, so to speak. So you have your gloves. Next up, fanny pack. So these were real popular in the 1980s, 1990s, and they're real big in the metal detecting community. Get yourself a fanny pack, and you're just going to strap it on like this. And I get the fanny packs that have multiple zippers and pouches. So the smaller pouch right here, I use for my coins and the objects that I want to keep, that I know that are good, solid items and objects or artifacts. Then I have my mid-size pouch right here. This one is for objects that may be a little bit bigger and could be garbage, but I don't want to put them in the big pouch. The big pouch is for either a really good larger object, or I'll just put all of the bottle caps and nails and pop tops in there, and that way when I'm done I already have my items separated, so it makes it easier to unload this and start again for the next adventure and the next dig. So it's hot. I metal detect primarily in Florida. In the summertime, most of the United States and where you're at is going to be really hot. I bring 2 thermoses. Now here's the reason why. The first thermos is obviously for hydration. You want to make sure that you are not overheating, because sometimes you can really get in the moment and you just can say one more item, that's all I need. And by the time you're done getting all these items, you are exhausted, and you definitely don't want to suffer from heat exhaustion. The second one I fill with water, and the first one, by the way, is ice water. I put a lot of ice in there and a good vacuum sealed thermos. Now, the second one is just some extra water that if I find an object that's really encased in dirt and it's hard to scrape off with a toothbrush, then I have some water, because you might not always be near a hose or a water supply in order to clean it off. And if you are like me and you're very impatient, then you're going to want to see what your object is pretty quickly, and it's nice to have a little bit of water to dump on there to remove some of the mud or dirt. Next up, ponchos. It is very hot, and you never know when a storm can come, or it might just drizzle and you don't want to leave your site because you've got permission for one day. So bring some ponchos so that you can continue your hunt and you're not getting soaked, especially your electronics. The Garrett Pinpointer and most Pinpointers are not waterproof. There are some that are, just make sure, but if this one gets submerged in water, it gets too wet, it's going to break. So make sure you have some ponchos just in case. Preparation is key. Here's another piece of, or another item that I bring when I'm metal detecting, and it's just a plastic container with a bunch of separate cartridges or container areas, and I use that to separate my finds once I get in the car and I'm done. So You know, if I have some really nice objects that I don't want to get scuffed up, like coins, some old coins, every nick, every scratch affects their value. I will put them in this container, close it up so that they don't get further damaged. We already talked about the sun. Make sure you bring some sunscreen. This is SPF 30. I would recommend 30 or higher because again, once you're out there and you're metal detecting, you're going to get burnt if the sun is just beating down on you all day. So get some sunscreen. I do also have and suggest sanitizer. You know, if you're digging in a residential neighborhood like I usually do, it's going to be very important. Oof, excuse me, it's really hot out here right now. I got some sweat going in my eyes. I would suggest bringing some hand sanitizer just so that, you know, you're touching things in your car, you're touching these items. A lot of these are residential neighborhoods. You got a lot of dog poop and stuff. Sometimes you never know when you're stepping through that or you're digging through that. There's a lot of bacteria and things out there in people's yards. So bring some hand sanitizer just to protect yourself. You don't want to get sick. And then a backpack to hold all of this. I'm certainly not carrying this stuff just with one hand. Get yourself a nice backpack, a sturdy one with different zippers. Hold your hand sanitizers and your batteries and some of your smaller items. The larger pockets will obviously be for maybe additional metal detector coils or the plastic container I mentioned earlier, ponchos and things like that. So definitely backpack is important. And finally, this is my little knickknacks bag. So as I was mentioning, I have a little toothbrush here because sometimes when I find coins or other objects, I just want to clean them up a little bit so I know whether to put them in my pocket of items to keep or items not to keep. So a toothbrush is definitely handy. And I have some magnifying glasses because at my age, it's harder to see up close, and so any additional assistance I can use to identify my object on the site at that point in time, I'm going to utilize. So I do have a couple magnifying glasses actually. So there you have it. This is, I think, a very good grouping of items to make sure that you take if you're going to go metal detecting in residential neighborhoods or even parks. Now, if you're going to do metal detecting primarily in the beach, there's going to be some different things and some modifications. I will do a future video on that. But again, this will get you started and make sure that you're not losing time or ruining your permission on a property because you have to go run back to get something that you forgot. Thank you so much. Caribbean Cowboys Treasures and Adventures. This is Gator Bait. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.